Today we're going to be unboxing and assembling a Shopmate 48-inch belt grinder. I've got the boxes in front of me here. We've got 2 cartons for our Shopmate. We've got the grinder itself in one carton and the motor and VFD in the other. So we're going to get these out of the boxes today, get them assembled, and have a look what that looks like.
Shut up and sit down.
Flip the drive and motor over the side at the moment, and we're going to start by cracking into the grinder itself. So we will cut this open, being careful because there's probably a set of instructions on the top of the box, and we don't want to cut them. So we have assembly instructions. Most important part, that's what you pay for, the sticker right there. Now, tab on the front here, we should just be able to lift that up. And we have the grinder body itself. We will pop the grinder out of there and put it to the side for the moment. We're going to lift up this fella. Alright, we have the platen assembly, rest, more packaging, drive wheel, platen arm, and lastly, box. Lastly, bag of fasteners. And that's everything. So all our packaging is recycled cardboard, so it's all able to be recycled, which is what I will do with it. There we are, grinder out of the box, ready to go. I'll get the motor and drive out of the box now, and we'll get to putting them together. Okay, motor and VFD. All right, so we should just be able to lift, pop insert out, VFD manual. We do have some foam packaging in the VFDs and motors to ensure that they get to you in tip-top shape. As you can see, the motor, we have the VFD itself. So the best thing to do, I find, is to get the cord out, unwrap the cord from around the motor, and the motor can be lifted out. The drive can be lifted out. There we go. Alright, so all we need to assemble our Shopmate grinder is a 12mm open-ended spanner and a 5mm Allen key. So to bolt our motor onto our grinder frame, we're going to use the 4 smaller bolts that came with the grinder. The longer bolt and the washer is to bolt the drive wheel onto the motor with. So these guys and the 5mm Allen key. And right, so we're just going to take the frame, bring the motor up. If you've got someone who can help you, this is somewhere where it is good to have 2 sets of hands. I will start the first bolt off and then just line the rest of them up. And so you can probably see a bit better. Alright, and then we will just run them in with the Allen key. If you find the bolts are hard to move, just move the motor around a little bit and just take the weight off the bolts. On there. And the last one. And then we will just snip these up. And ready to put the drive wheel on. Okay, so the drive wheel, we have obviously the drive wheel and the longer M6 bolt. You slip the plastic cover off the shaft of the motor, if I can pull it off. And you need to make sure that the key on the drive shaft lines up with the slot on the wheel. So looking from the top, we're just going to make sure that lines up, and just very gently, a bit of a wiggle if required. Sometimes they slip on very easily, sometimes they need a bit of a wiggle. Make sure it's lined up and on it goes. So the biggest issue that we come across with getting the drive wheel on is not having the key lined up properly. And if you, as soon as you try and force the drive wheel on, you're likely to damage something, and once it's damaged, you'll never get the wheel on. So just make sure that key's lined up nicely and is in line when you start putting the wheel on, and you should have no issues at all. I'm just going to pop the bolt in the middle, and I'll actually just do that up. There we go. No need to go really wrenching on them, just nice and firm. That's our drive wheel on, our motor on. Right, we'll come around to the other side, and we will put the gas strut on. So this guy, and take that bag off that one. Rightio, so if you get your gas strut and it's facing this way, right, back towards you or at some jaunty angle, just rotate the top of the strut clockwise, and you can line it up with where it's got to go. So we're just going to thread it into the hole in the tension arm. It's a matter of getting the tension arm in the correct position so that it threads in straight. There's a bit of fiddle there, but there we go. If you find it's getting bound and it's hard to turn, either lift up your tension arm or drop it down a little bit so that it's nice and easy. Just get that one in, and then we will use our 12mm spanner. Oop. There we are. Again, no need to go too tight. And all assembled. Now, as far as the platen goes, we have our platen arm. We're just going to offer that into the top slot on the grinder. We'll push it all the way to the back. Just nip up your locking lever, making sure that this one's loose. Pop that fella in, and there's your platen. Now, always remember when you see one of these handles that they can be lifted up and rotated into any position you like, put back down, and then you can unlock and lock with them. So if you find one of these levers is in the wrong spot, you don't like where it is, just simply pull it out, rotate it. It'll clip back in. There's a spline inside there and a spring. And that way you can always move them so that they're out of the way. Anyway. So you're going to just take our rest here, and we'll pop that in too. And pop that one in the bottom slot there. Oh, the handle's in the way. We can just move it out of the way. There we are. And there we have it. There is our complete shopmate. All assembled. Very easy. Ready to go. Okay, so I've got my belt here. Just going to pull the rest out. I'm going to put the belt on the drive wheel first, the tracking wheel, up on the 2-inch wheel, and then to tension it, to put it on. I'll just pull the tension arm down, put it on. Right, that way I'm not fighting with the belt the whole time. I'm going to run it over by hand a few times, make sure it's tracking reasonably well. We'll turn the tracking knob anti-clockwise to bring it to the left, so that's where it needs to go. Clockwise to push it to the right. And there we go. And then I'll plug the grinder in and we'll just have a quick look at our VFD. We put our VFDs in a steel enclosure, so they're nice and robust. They're dust-proof, moisture-proof. You can keep them in your grinding area and not worry about dust getting into the electronics. Pretty straightforward. We have a run-stop switch. We have a forward, reverse, and off switch. And we have a infinitely variable potentiometer here, which gives us everything from 0 to 4,800 surface feet per minute, or about 24 meters per second at full speed. So if you leave the drive in the off position here, the run switch will do nothing. Put it in forwards and the grinder will start to move. I always start the grinder at low speed, make sure the tracking is correct before cranking it to a high speed. Very good practice to get into. All right, there we are. So this is optional, but I do recommend it. And this is running in your bearings. So Timken, who manufacture and supply all of the bearings we use for our wheels, recommend that the bearings are run in, particularly when they're going to be used at high speed. We see our 2-inch wheel here. It's going to be jogging on at about 9,000 RPM at full noise, which, whilst it's not at the limits of the bearing's capabilities, it is very fast. And that means that it's going to get hot. So by running in the bearings first, we will distribute the grease through the bearings really nicely, and they won't get as hot and they will last longer. So I'll run through how to do that, and it's very easy. Just means running your grinder for about half an hour and just ramping up through the speed. So to run in our bearings, all we're going to do is run our grinder at a series of speeds from slow to quite fast, and leave them at those speeds for a length of time. So we're going to start turning the grinder on at low speed, and we'll just bring it up to about halfway through the green zone, about 600, somewhere around there. And we're going to leave it there for about 10 minutes. So just set a timer on my phone. In 10 minutes, I'll come back once it goes off, and we'll increase the speed. All right, so our timer's just gone off at 10 minutes, so I'm just going to increase the speed once again, and I'll just bring it up to the 1200 mark, just on the end of the green zone. Again, I'll set a timer for 10 minutes, come back, and we'll increase it again. Okay, so our 10 minutes has just come by, and we're going to increase it once again. So this time I'm going to jump up to the halfway mark, and again I'll start my timer again for 10 minutes, and I'll be back in 10. Alright, so our 10 minutes is just up, so we will increase the speed again. This time we'll go up to the end of the orange zone, and again I'll start the timer for 10 minutes. Alright, so our 10 minutes has elapsed, and we can now just turn the grinder off, and the bearings should be nice and worn in, and you're ready to use your grinder. If you made it this far through the video, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below. I haven't made a video in a very long time, and as no doubt you can tell, I'm not particularly comfortable in front of the camera. So if you can please leave me some feedback, good or bad, below, that would be much appreciated. I am planning to do a video, hopefully bi-weekly, showing the setup of our different machines, different accessories, but I'd love to hear your thoughts below, what you'd like to see. But in the meantime, thanks again for watching. Grind on.